Biddly diddly, biddle diddle diddle biddly diddly. Patreon biddly biddly diddly, biddle diddle bow. Oh, welcome back to Patreon, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Riley, welcome back.
Hi, welcome to my house. Welcome back to...
Are you singing a song?
No, they're just saying you welcomed me back.
Welcome to my house.
We're in my house.
I don't know the rest of the words other than welcome to my house.
Welcome to my house. That's not a song.
Welcome to my house. Something, something, something. It's actually my dad's house. We don't have to something.
That's not a song.
Welcome to my house. It's like a really bad song.
That's not.
It's a song. It's just a really bad one.
Burn It Down the House. That's the one.
That's a different one.
What about, what's that Bare Naked Lady song about going back to the old apartment? I think it's called Old Apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he went back there. Yeah.
Cool.
That's the only Bare Naked Lady song that I know that I haven't seen live. Apparently they opened with it. I was in the bathroom.
I don't know any Bare Naked Lady songs.
It was my first concert.
Oh, good for you.
Second concert? I think it was my first one.
Well, I have a topic.
That's good.
That's going to be weird, and it's going to be weird. It's going to be a weird one.
Let's do it.
So the other day, I was just like browsing through my news feed.
Yeah.
And
Which is what old timey guys would have said reading the newspaper.
Yeah. I was sitting at the table reading the paper. I ran across an article about an OnlyFans star named Lily Phillips.
If you guys aren't familiar with OnlyFans, it is it's a user friendly amateur website where people can upload pornographic material, not exclusively pornographic material.
Upload whatever, yeah.
Or whatever you want, but it is predominantly known as a site that you can like crowdsource and upload your own pornographic material, and people can pay to view it.
Right.
Or you can just Google the name of the person / OnlyFans, and you see that stuff anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I assume.
Oh, that sounded like you checked.
I assume.
Well, so I'm reading this article, and this young lady's name is
I only go to OnlyFans for the article.
No, this is not on OnlyFans.
Right,
this is
right.
on my newsfeed. But the like I said, the young lady's name is Lily Phillips. She's English. She's a pretty girl. But she was doing this was about a documentary that had just come out that's on YouTube. It's like a 45-minute documentary. Where she had this goal to bang 100 dudes in a 24-hour period.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, I didn't have a lot going on that morning, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to just start watching this.
That just sounded like her saying, like, listen, I didn't have a whole lot going on this morning. Figured 100 guys, maybe.
Do you know 100 guys? So I started watching this documentary, and I was like, I'll probably watch like 5-10 minutes.
If you say documentary, it sounds classy.
Well, you don't see anything. It's just the guy interviewing her before and after.
Just like, so I'm watching this documentary about this woman who banged 100 guys in a day. I was reading the New Yorker, and this article about OnlyFans came up.
I just, it was a strange. Okay, so the guy who's interviewing her is a very tall, lanky Brit who you can tell is just sort of an awkward kid who's like a documentarian now.
Super stoked to be talking to this like porn star.
No, just super uncomfortable the whole time.
Oh no.
But then I think there's a point in the documentary where he gets kind of like maybe I have a shot with her. Maybe I should shoot. But there's a part where he like absolutely shoots his shot. There's she's talking about how like, because he starts asking about like, relationships, if she has any desire to be in a relationship in the future. And she's like, yeah, I think whoever I date's got to be sort of this type of person, whatever.
Has to kind of accept the fact that I banged 100 dudes in one day.
Well, and I don't think she has any intentions to. I think she was saying like whoever she ends up dating has got to be somebody who's okay with like.
With this lifestyle.
With her going and fucking other dudes.
Full credence on this side, by the way. I have no problem with
it. I don't know.
Somebody's got to make content, whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad at her. It's like, it's her gig. Do your thing. But there's a point where she's talking about like how guys view her because of her. She's only 23 years old. And there's this thing about like how guys view her, and she's like, I think guys sort of think of me this way, and they just want this and that, whatever the fuck. I can't remember, but this dude goes, "Well, not all guys," and I'm just like, "Yo, wow. He just went for it. He went for it so hard." And the funny thing is, I'm like, there's a part in the documentary where she's like, basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she's basically like, "Yeah, I find it hard to turn down a dick," and I'm like, you could have just do your thing, dude.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, you know how you're going to do 100 guys?
What do you want to do, 101?
Can I just be the first one? Can I be first in and out? And then you start after me? Maybe the warm-up act?
She's just like Timothy Leary's dead wife.
Oh, boy, yeah. But
reference to the main feed. I don't know if anyone on the Patreon is not going to get that. Like, if you're listening to the Patreon episodes, I assume you listen to the main feed.
Yeah, I would assume so, yeah.
The bit we did in A Boring Man, Crazy Life with Timothy Leary.
And his wife, who
would never turn a man down. That was her somebody was quoting her saying that.
Yeah. But it was just like, it was such a weird thing. And then like, so this documentary is all him like sort of interviewing her the day before, and then the morning of, and then they get kicked out because, you got 100 guys who, I don't know, are about to be filmed for OnlyFans anyway, but like, I guess felt weird with like a documentary crew there.
You were getting the
so yeah,
free.
so they were like, at one point her staff was like, hey, do you mind leaving?
It makes sense because it's paid content. Like you don't want to have that another perspective of that's just online for.
I guess
like
he does interview a couple of the guys afterward. Their faces are blurred, but he interviews. It's a mixed bag on how guys felt about it.
Yeah,
one guy spent like $1,000 like traveling from Sweden, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe Sweden. $100 or $1,000 like between the plane ticket and the cab and the hotel and everything
to be guy number 87.
And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm heading back now."
And that he's just done. He came.
Like he just flew to England from Sweden.
He came and went.
He came and yeah.
Wow.
The old nut and bolt.
The nut and bolt.
Yeah.
Is that a trademark Patrick Wall?
That might be a Patrick.
I've never heard that. The nut and bolt.
Yeah. That's a Patrick original.
Christ.
I think. Maybe.
That's also it looks like she's doing her thing.
That's also like one of my other ones that I think I made up.
Mm-hmm.
How a lot of people say, yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say, yeah, I'm mopping up what you're squirting.
Gross.
Well, in keeping with today's topic.
Apparently, I say gross a lot.
I say gross a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My daughter told me, my daughter, not to put it out there on the internet. She got a boyfriend recently.
Oh no.
13.
Oh no.
But I was went to go see her, and she was in some parade or something.
Yeah.
Just cheerleading shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having lunch with her and her mom, and her mom was like, should we tell him? And I was like,
fucking better.
And my daughter was like, no, don't do it. And I was like, we should tell him. She's like, no, he's just gonna say gross. And I was like, I don't care what you're saying. We can ignore this and move on. And then she turned to me and she was like, I got a boyfriend. And I went, gross.
I say it a lot too, and to the point where I don't remember if we were on air when I think I was telling you this story recently, where like Allison was telling me, like we were in the kitchen, I'm cooking something, and she told me something, and I just kind of digested it, and I was like, okay. And in my mind, I was thinking, but I didn't say anything. And she finishes the story and immediately goes, gross. And I was like, what? And she goes, I just assumed you were about to say that, so I said it for you.
Just kind of knew
like,
you were gonna.
Yeah, and I was like, I actually wasn't gonna say anything, but I was thinking it.
Oh, hey, here's a fun update.
What?
As of 24 hours ago, OnlyFans Lily Phillips, who plans to bed 1,000 men in a day.
In February, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So you already had this on the list.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, let's scoot it back. How did the 100 go?
So what's weird is at the end, afterward, when he comes back in and he's interviewing her, at some point she starts crying and has to like excuse herself. And I'm like, Oh my goodness. And like and this guy is, I mean, it's seemed evident to me that he's very smitten with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like
she's a hot babe.
She's not an ugly girl.
Yeah, it's an attractive woman.
Young pretty girl. And
obviously a people pleaser.
And puts things in all of her holes. So, what do you yeah. So, it's almost like as a weird, awkward documentarian, tall, scraggly kid who probably has had limited action in his life.
I don't get a lot of play. This is probably the closest I'm going to get.
Right, right. That would be like top tier score, So, but he's trying to play this from like trying to be very sympathetic. So he's got sort of this sidebar narration where he's talking about how like, maybe there is something, because the whole time leading up, she's talking about how excited she is and how this is like a fantasy of hers and this and that and the other thing. And, so then this happens and she starts crying in the immediate aftermath, like after everybody's gone and she's had a shower and she's kind of, they got her some food because she hasn't eaten all day.
I can see this is probably a pretty, even if it, like she enjoyed the process, it's still a pretty heavy, like emotional, even encountering 100 people in a day is like,
for
sure, tough,
For sure. Well, and everybody got 5 minutes, so that's 12 guys an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's... you gotta assume that's an all-day thing. It was like 10 hours. You got a 10-hour event going on. So, how do you do 1,000?
Let's see. There's 1,440 minutes in a day.
So everybody's got 1.4 minutes.
You got it's just a 60. I don't know. Hold on. I didn't pull up the calculator. I just Googled 1,440 divided by 24.
Oh boy! Either way.
I should have done it divided by 1,000. I'm an idiot.
Yes, you should have. If there are 1,440 minutes in a day, you get 1.4 seconds per guy. If you get no sleep whatsoever. 1.44 if you want to be.
Wow, he didn't use the calculator. I did, but he got it. He nailed it.
It's not hard.
I'm not a math.
Okay, I guess. All right. Well, either way. You can tell this guy's like trying to play it from the sympathetic angle. So he's like going, well, this whole time leading up to it, she's...
Would one more dick help?
She's telling me... this whole time she's telling me like she's excited and this is her fantasy and now I'm seeing her cry and so I don't know, like maybe there's something bigger at play here, maybe blah, blah, blah. And then he finally starts talking to her and she's upset, or at least this is what she says. She's upset because she feels like she didn't provide a good customer service. She's like, some of these guys, I felt like I was rushing them. And I felt like, and you kind of have to be like, no, you only get 5 minutes. Like if you're not done, sorry.
That's that. Sorry,
like,
you get 5 minutes.
And so she's like, and I think probably even regardless of how much of a fantasy that is or isn't for you, there's got to be like an emotional rush.
After about 40 guys, you're like, fuck.
Well, yeah, and that was the other thing. She said like when she got to like 30, she was like, I think I would probably only recognize like 4 of those people.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. She was like, it
just
kind of go into
what if that's like a meditative state in a way, just kind of like, wow.
She said, she was like, it's almost like robotic at a point where you're just like, okay, now this, okay, now that, okay, now that.
Clocking out.
There was a point where she was talking about how her eyes were stinging because she had received too much semen to the eyeballs.
Oh, so they were doing the whole thing. It wasn't just like a quick 5-minute pump and dump.
She was offering to let him finish move on the face.
Wow.
Watch the eyes. But it's hard to aim these things.
She could have worn goggles.
Or glasses, do like a sexy librarian thing.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea.
I for work I've got glasses because I wear glasses when guys come in my face. For work I wear glasses that have the little like construction,
the little side lenses. Yeah,
those are nice.
Yeah, Lily, hit us up. We'll recommend some good construction glasses that you can wear with the sides, so so really nothing can get in there and they've got a foam thing on the inside, so it sits tight to your face. So
I gotta tell you this.
Get with us.
This story kind of tugs at the old heartstrings a little bit because it sounds like a very nice lady. She's like, I don't know, I just don't think they had fun.
She seemed through the whole documentary. She seemed very lovely. Very sort of fun, and I'm not saying this because she's, she's down to fuck. I'm saying she seemed like, even if I didn't know that about her, she seemed like a very fun, sort of lively,
Right, yeah.
you know, little girl. And
Don't say little girl.
she's 23 years old. I'm old enough to be her father.
Yeah, we're talking about her getting banged by, at this point, 1,101 guys. So
Well, the other 1,000 don't happen for a couple months. I believe that's slated for February.
yeah,
But young woman, is that better?
that's still just woman would have been fine. I think.
She's a young woman. I mean, it's just.
I mean, you don't have to say old woman.
You know what? I'm going back to little girl.
Ugh.
Hey, little girl.
Ugh.
I brought 99 friends.
You sound like any songwriter in the 1960s
Or 70s or 80s or 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 2000s. Looking at you, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Jesus Christ.
Beatles. She seems like a very fun person to just hang out with, is what I'm saying. If you watch the documentary, she's a very outgoing, fun sort of chick. And it was a weird watch. It was a strange watch.
It sounds kind of existential in general.
Yeah.
Especially considering,
because it's hard for me to believe, okay, fantasies aside, I get it. Everybody's got something they're into. Some things that some people are into don't make sense to me, blah, blah, blah. I feel, though, like there's got to be something internally going on psychologically that would make you...
I feel like there's quite a few things going on internally.
For her or for me? I mean, both. It could be both.
I think about 100 things were happening internally on that day. Hi-oh.
Psychologically, I said. There was a qualifier on that. That would make you not only want to sleep with 100 men in one 24-hour period, but also to broadcast that on the internet. I feel like there's something.
Well, you said you only got 5 minutes, so it's actually a 12-hour day.
You get 12 guys per hour.
Less than
12 per hour.
12
so
per hour,
9 point.
With breaks. I'm sure there's a snack break in there.
I think there was supposed to be, but she skipped it. However, I do know there were some.
That's a real champ.
I do know that there was at least one shower break that I was made aware.
Yeah,
of.
get some of that.
I would
the cum out of your eyes.
I would
Jesus
assume
Christ.
multiple shower breaks.
Get the cum out of your eyes is one of my favorite things to say to somebody who's not observing a point that I'm trying to make as well.
It's like I'm mopping up what you're squirting.
Yeah, we work on construction. It's pretty good. Like, hey, do you know where you're gonna do this cut? You gotta measure it. Like, oh my God, get the cum out of your eyes.
Do you actually say that, or
I said that to Brian that one time when he kept fucking cutting the trim too short.
Oh my God, I think I know exactly which job you're talking about.
You do.
Over here on Whitney. Yeah. I know exactly which job you're talking about.
He's like flustered. Look,
that guy was just ruined by that trim.
He just couldn't. There was just. If you guys have never had to do finish carpentry with a miter saw, it's tricky. There's some tricky stuff to it. Angles, especially if you're doing wraparound angles and stuff. But holy cow, our guy could not get within 2 inches of the cut that he was trying to make.
Here's the thing, and here's what I always say anytime I'm doing trim. You get two. You get to shank 2 cuts. So I almost always shank my first one.
I mean, everybody does, because
that's the wrong angle
where
on
you
it.
start your that's where you start your self-investigation, and you're like, okay, what did I do wrong with this one? And how could I change it to get it to the appropriate?
It's also why I always start with a long cut, because if I shank the angle on a long cut, I still have that stick to work on shorter stuff. This is turning into construction.
Yeah, anyone who's not well versed in construction stuff, it is almost always with no exceptions. I mean, literally no exceptions. It is always filled with stupid moves and fuck ups. I don't care if you're the best carpenter in the fucking world. You're gonna do at least a couple fuck.
Yeah. Well, and also, sometimes you think that you're running it out to a point and you miss something, and you're like, oh, that's gonna be in the way, or I have to cut it a little shorter because I didn't take this into account. There's things
after
that,
about 6 hours, you're like, this fucking job sucks. I don't want to be here anymore. And then you're smoking cigarettes, and you're just, oh God, what is my life? Why didn't I go to college?
And also the worst part is when you start getting to the end of the day and you have a benchmark. You were like, I need to get to this room by the end of today, or to have this whole floor done, or whatever the case may be. And you start seeing the clock winding down. You're like, oh, it's fucking 4:30, and you start trying to go fast. You start making so many more mistakes. You're like one of the very common ones is to use your tape measure upside down.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough,
and
yeah.
so you think that 36 and a half, you see 35 and a half, but it looks like because your brain switches it so you're not upside down, and then you cut it an inch short.
Yeah, that sucks. In many ways, working construction is like having sex with 100 men in a 24-hour period. You know, you take a lot of guff, and by the end there, you're really just like, man, can we get this over with?
Yeah, your eyes are stinging, and you just want to shower.
Yeah, yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, more power to her. I hope that she meets her goal of banging 1,000 dudes. That's going to be crazy, though, because that's, 1 minute. That's really just a dick dip.
So I remember
2 or 3 thrusts, and then moving on.
That's like, do you remember back in the I don't know, probably 90s. There was like a run of this where like some of the famous porn stars would be
I'm not trying to
there was a
remember
porn
the
star named
name.
Houston, and she did like the Houston 500, and it was 500 dudes, but it was a line of dudes all just sort of stroking it and getting in there and like just, maybe going again, probably about a minute, and then finish move, and then they were off.
I was trying to remember the name of this porn star from the 90s that did like an epic gangbang. It was like 300, 400 guys or something like that. And I remember, I think her name has like Jade in it, something Jade. So I just looked up Mara Jade gangbang. I forgot that Mara Jade was the name of Luke Skywalker's girlfriend in the literary universe of Star Wars.
Yeah, are you looking at some DeviantArt now?
Mara Jade's Gamorrean Gangbang Chapter 1.
Oh boy, fan fiction.
Star Wars fan fiction.
I thought it was going to take you immediately to like DeviantArt.
No, because Mara Jade was a book character, not even like a. I'm sure.
Still.
All right, I'm gonna click images real quick.
Mm-hmm. DeviantArt.
Yep, there you go.
DeviantArt.
Okay.
DeviantArt.
Okay.
DeviantArt.
Oh, also, apparently, there's a transgender woman named Mara Jade that's popping up here. All right, I'll close that.
Okay. Chicks with dicks.
That's fine. But yeah, there's a lot of Princess Leia getting banged.
Well, so again, back to, I remember the Houston 500. If you're not old like me, there was a porn star in the 90s named Houston, and she did a publicity stunt where it was 500 guys were gonna like get off on her, and that just seems like way too much semen. But I remember weird videos of like them panning through this studio, and it was like a big studio, and there's just like a line of hundreds of dudes just sitting there, just naked, just stroking, waiting for
Yeah,
their
that's
turn.
it. There's so
Waiting for their turn, and some of them are wearing ski masks. And it's like, oh, there's a naked guy wearing a ski mask and jerking his dick. That's weird.
There's
nothing sexy about this.
The author Chuck Palahniuk wrote Fight Club and some others. He wrote a book called
the book Choke,
Yeah.
which is
he wrote a
good
book
one.
called Snuff. I think it's called Snuff. I think that's the book. Did you read that book? It's pretty fascinating because it's about a gangbang. And it's called Snuff, but nobody ever gets. It's not like there's no snuff porn in there. I think that's just like an fucking provocative title.
Okay,
but it follows like these.
I know the book. I did not read it.
I actually really like that. It's like a super underrated one in his catalog.
I was midway through sipping my water when he asked me.
He's kind of Chuck Palahniuk's kind of hit and miss for me. He's got some books that are absolutely amazing and some that are like kind of like, all right, I get it.
Choke was good.
I
think that's the only one I read.
Good. Choke's real good. I like Choke. Invisible Monsters is a particularly cool one.
One wasn't even on my radar.
That one's really cool. That was one of his early successes.
I'll check it out. I need a good book.
Yeah, Chuck. I've got a bunch.
I have so much time.
I have
for
a
books.
fuckload of Chuck Palahniuk on my shelf. But he is really, really into the sexy details. Detail. It's his whole deal. So he he's talking about a gangbang. He gets into every possible like horrifying little angle of everything. He talks about how like the big risk with gangbang is vaginal embolism.
Oh,
it can cause like a blood rupture and oxygen to get up into like a woman's uterus, and it could actually kill her.
Oh my god!
Yeah, there's like you have to train for this kind of shit. There are like vaginal weights and like Kegel exercises and stuff that you got to like get to. There's like a level of hydration you have to pay attention to. But throughout the book, a lot of the book is conversations between the guys who are all just standing around naked, tugging on their half chubs.
I will say, so one of the things on this Lily Phillips, I'll send you the documentary. On this documentary was, like I said, it's like 45 minutes, and I put it on thinking I'm going to watch it for like 5-10 minutes, and then I'm going to get bored. And I actually watched the whole thing all the way through. I was like, this is fucking fascinating. But the end, whenever he comes back and he goes into the room, just strewn with like a litter of condom wrappers and used condoms, and I'm like,
dude, that's the kind of stuff that I really like.
Somebody should come in and just
intellectually, those are like the aesthetics that I find fascinating.
Yeah, well, it's also one of those things you don't think about, you know. Like I'm guy number 47, and I'm walking into a room. And
what do you do? What do you do? Is there like a guy with gloves and like a trash bag walking around? Like, here, you throw your
one of those little grabbers,
you know.
Like
and like, how many
off the ground?
Is there like a big bowl of condoms you can get, or do they only hand you out a couple because it's kind of expensive? 100 guys.
I'm not entirely sure.
You know, and what if you just kind of lose it while you're hanging out? And you're like,
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure she's one of the more popular OnlyFans models. So I think that she's doing fine in terms of being able to afford 100. You know,
no, I'm sure.
Let's call it 500.
Dude, this is a business. Listen,
Yeah.
she also made the decision after 100, which must have been very difficult in general, to go for 1,000.
Yes,
which
almost
is like
immediately.
That's wild.
That is wild.
Because you could just quietly escalate 500. You know,
250. 250. I feel like, you know, you had a rough day after 100. Let's go in baby steps. I don't even feel like 100 to 250 is baby steps. That's big.
I know.
Old giant steps.
I know how she's gonna do it. 3 guys at once.
Oh,
that's gonna have to be it.
That seems like a
it's
rough
10
day.
10 times more guys. It's gonna have to be 5 guys at once.
Seems like a really rough day.
Maybe 5 guys. That's rough. I mean, I don't.
This Patreon episode brought to you by Five Guys Burgers and Fries. If you want a really expensive hamburger, but a big ass bag full of fries, way more than fits in the size that you ordered.
It's a really good burger. It is so expensive, though.
Go to Five Guys Burgers and Fries.
$15 cheeseburger.
That one's on us.
Fuck.
Five Guys.
Jesus.
I don't know that. I feel like anything that involves backdoor action is gonna be like that.
It's got to be tough. Maybe
I feel like there's a timer on that.
She better be working out.
There's a timer on that. That's not an all day orifice.
I mean, I don't know. At a certain point, like what's going on there?
Oh my God, no! I don't want that. Lily, don't do that.
I don't.
Not the back door. Not the back door.
Let her do whatever she wants. This is America, you know. She's gonna make a fucking killing. These people make millions of dollars doing this kind of shit.
But that's crazy.
No, good for her. You know what? She sacrifices one day of her life, and you know maybe has to get a ring tighten in return.
Yeah,
but she's gonna make
fucking sutures.
She's gonna make $4 or $5 million.
I mean, hemorrhoid surgery. Like, there's got to be
I'm
some
sure
aftermath.
there's a healing process, and if she takes good care of herself and she does the proper procedures, she's gonna be fine. As long as she doesn't get a vaginal embolism and die.
Woof.
Which would be a tragic end of the story. I really hope that's not how
That
it ends.
would be a tragedy.
Good luck, Lily.
I feel like I feel like if I were to meet this girl, I'd be like, no interest whatsoever in having sex with her. I'd just be
she
like,
seems charming. Yeah.
You just, I got you. I got you, little sis. I just pat her on the head. I got you.
Gonna buy you a drink? Jesus Christ.
No, I'm not going to buy her a drink. I'm going to stay, go home and stay out of the fucking bars. Don't be stupid.
I mean, like,
that's what I'm going to say.
Dude, there are plenty of stories of like porn actresses who live the raunchiest possible lives and then go on to be like housewives.
That's true.
I think Riley Reid's kind of doing that right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's the classic, my name being Riley, of course. Plenty of Riley Reid jokes on the construction site. My favorite one ever was we were installing vanity one time, and so you called me Riley Reid while I was under the vanity, like tightening the U bend, and I went, "Oh fuck, you're gonna make me plumb."
I just loved anytime that you were working with me, and I would be like sort of like beginning of the day, and I'd be like, all right, let's do this. You know, you guys do this, I'll do this. You know, whatever. Sort of hashing out the day, and I'd remember something, and I'd be like, oh, Riley. And like everybody else on the crew would just sing the O'Reilly fucking auto parts song.
Hate that more than anything.
Time.
If you want to,
and I wouldn't do it on purpose. I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, "Oh, Riley," and everybody would be like, "Oh, Riley."
If there was somebody that I truly detested and I wanted to like make their life hard, I would figure out a way to proliferate like a shitty stuck in your head fucking jingle with their name in it, because that sucks. That sucks so bad.
I never had to experience that. I don't think. I mean, what do you do with Patrick? St. Patrick's Day? Like, there's not really a lot. There was a time when I was in like my late teens, early 20s, when I was a particularly rambunctious young man, and our friends, I think we've talked about this on like a Patreon episode or something. We would just do horrific pranks on one another, like just real bad, like pre-Jackass stuff, but would fit right in with Jackass guys.
One time you got 100 of your friends together.
No, I just used to just jump on people's backs and tell them they deserve a pat on the back.
Rough.
Yeah, that was my big joke.
People all have back problems now.
Yeah. I'm surprised I didn't take anyone's collarbone out the way, because it was
a
like
real dumb,
an aggressive jump.
What a dumb asshole joke to make, too.
Yeah,
you deserve a pat on the back.
I was fucking 19, 20 years old. Come on. I was still exploring comedy. One time I made 100 jokes in one day.
That I cried about it. I just feel like I didn't deliver the quality of comedy.
I just feel like some of those jokes weren't as good as they could have been, and I really, I'm nothing without my craft.
Well, I've got a lot of appreciation for that woman. I hope that she is duly enshrined in the annals of pornographic history. Frankly, what I hope she does is she gets a bunch of money and then disappears off the face of the earth and lives a normal life somewhere.
That would be smart.
Yeah, that's the best way to do that.
That would be what I would do.
Like Mia Khalifa wanted to do that, didn't get the chance.
No?
No.
What is she up to?
Looking exactly like Mia Khalifa. Actually,
I know you.
She's like a paralegal or something.
Is she? Good for her.
Yeah, I read somewhere that like, dude, Mia Khalifa was only like in porn for like
very brief,
6 months maybe.
Yeah, very brief.
Said she made like maybe 20 grand in total. Like yeah, for millions and millions of videos.
Traditionally, porn stars get paid very little. So
exactly.
Unless you're like a really well-known porn star, I think. I remember one time, like not that long ago, I saw that like the male stars get like $100 to $200 if you're unknown.
Yeah,
$100 to $200 per video. And the females make like $500, and I'm like, yo, you could get a bartending job where you make more than that.
That's true.
Especially if you're a hot young lady who's flirty and horny all the time.
Yeah,
you make
weird.
Way more money.
And also that culture has changed a lot too with the birth of OnlyFans and shit like that. So it's like a way different world. But yeah, Mia Khalifa, I guess she did this interview where she's a fucking paralegal. Like she was going to college the whole time she was doing porn anyway, and she says like most of the time it's like her life's just fine, whatever. She just works and whatever. And then
somebody's like, where do I know you?
Every once in a while, she's sitting at a table and she looks up and she'll look somebody right in the eyes, and that person will have a look on their face that says, "I've seen you fuck," which is uncomfortable, but she's a professional.
I wonder how many fucking weird horny dudes leverage that into. She's a porn star, or used to be a porn star, so she's got to just have loose morals and no quips about who gets up in that vase.
Everybody's got to deal with bullshit. Like, I mean,
but
really,
you know how dudes are.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
what I'm saying.
guarantee you, at least, I'm gonna be nice and say once a year, some guy is like overly flirty, like overly hitting on her, overly pushy, because in his mind he's like, well, she'll fuck anybody. Right. She's a porn star.
But I mean, really,
which is dumb.
We're thinking about the world today. You don't really need that. That's just one excuse that a guy would use.
Yeah, it doesn't really take much.
Be like, come on, you painted your nails, you want it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
And for those guys,
you could be out of the house for the first time in your life, and some guy's gonna be fucking way over the top.
And for those guys, I would recommend looking up a lady named Lily Phillips. If you really want to get with a porn star that bad, she's got a casting call going out right now for a shoot in February. So
yeah, make sure you get your STD test.
Be nice. Seems like a nice girl. Okay, we're done with this one.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, that'll be it for this week's Patreon. It was a weird one. Anyway, if you have not yet, please give us 5 stars and leave us a review on whatever you're listening on. And, well, right now you're listening on Patreon.
Yeah.
So, but
if you get a chance, check out Lily Phillips on OnlyFans.com.
Yeah, tell her we sent you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, bye. You don't want to say bye?
Oh, bye.
Bye.